Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. Earlier today, a variety of sources all decided that this was going to be the day they were going to announce that Jason Blundell had reportedly been fired from Treyarch, and then there were others saying that Jason had an alcohol problem, and then there were others saying that Jason was leaking things from within the studio, and there were a bunch more other things that were being said. And I saw all that reporting and was skeptical straight away because there were things in there that I was reading that directly conflicted with other things that I already knew to be true. So I was like, this isn't the full story, and the people that are saying this haven't got the full picture by any means, and it's not my job to jump in here and to speculate about whether Jason is going through stuff in his personal life. It's not my job to jump in here and start questioning how that might affect DLC 4. They're two separate worlds, man, and I wanted to just respect his privacy a little bit on this one, because even if it was true, that's sort of not my business, right? And it turns out that it was a good thing I waited and didn't make a video, because Activision have just come out and said, I follow with the quote, "While we typically don't comment on rumor, as a personnel matter, we feel it's important to address. Jason has not been fired." Welp. Jason has not been fired, and in fact, he continues to direct the zombies experience for Black Ops 4. Okay. In addition, Jason, along with a handful of developers, are working with Activision to develop new creative opportunities. This, to me, says a few things, and I will comment on them individually. I'm going to break it down into a couple of different chunks in this video, okay? One thing that it says to me is that all of the rumors that were swirling around earlier today were pretty mean-spirited, to be honest. I think that starting all of these rumors is gonna do no good for anyone, especially because they're just flat out wrong and baseless as far as we can tell. So, not a massive fan of what went down there. The fact that he continues to direct zombies is fine. I think that that's good, that he's still in the picture. I would be sympathetic with him if he lost his job, if he had been fired, but it would have taken a lot more than any of the mistakes that he has made to be actually fired from Treyarch. Like, we're a long way from that happening, let me tell you. And I think that it's good that Activision, I mean, I'm complimenting Activision here. This is a weird world that we live in 2019, but I think it's good that Activision have commented on this, because had they let this go really any further, it could have really created a harmful sentiment, I think, in the community. They also say at the end, in addition, Jason, along with a handful of devs, are working with Activision to develop new creative opportunities. What I think this probably means is that the oversight of Jason Blundell has carried over through various games, right? We had Jason working on World at War. He wasn't directing zombies at that point, but he worked a little bit on the DLC specifically for World at War. Then he worked on Black Ops 1. Then he worked on Black Ops 2. And obviously in Black Ops 2, he became the director of zombies. That was a kind of title that was passed to him when Jimmy Zielinski stepped out of his role and exited the company. And then in Black Ops 3, obviously, he was director of zombies. And then between Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4, in I believe it was around November 2016, he was temporarily co-studio head. He's no longer co-studio head. In that same time, he was removed from the co-studio head role and transitioned back into being the director of zombies, and that's basically where he has been since the beginning of Black Ops 4, since even the beginning of the marketing of Black Ops 4. So that's the position that he has held, and he's overseen a lot of zombies dev over the years. And what I assume is going to be happening, because this is just the way it's felt all year, to be honest, is that Jason is going to basically close out DLC 4. He's going to be overseeing that project, even if he's in the same kind of hands-off place that he's been for the last couple of months. I mean, hands-off is the wrong word, but even if he's not in the public eye so much, I think that he'll still be doing as Activision is saying he's going to be doing, and directing zombies for the end of the Ether story. And then when Ether ends, I wouldn't be surprised, and this isn't really even related to these current events necessarily, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jason goes and does something else, because he's been doing this for a long time. The Ether story that he has helped cultivate is coming to an end, or probably coming to an end, certainly Primus and Ultimus, which is the main thing that Jason's been working on. That part of the Ether book is going to be closing, and so Jason Blundell moving to a different project makes sense. It just makes a lot of sense for him in terms of his personal career development, and it makes sense in terms of what Call of Duty needs. Because let's face it, Zombies has had a rough year. right? Zombies has had a rough year. There have been real high points and some real low points, but it's been up and down, and that's been a problem for the studio when they're trying to deliver a consistent product for 12 months after launch, and they end up with massive peaks and massive troughs, right? And so it completely makes business sense for someone who has this much experience in the game to come around and say, yeah, I'm actually gonna stop working on this one thing that we were doing for a long time. Once that thing is looking like it's at a good kind of finishing point, a good pausing point between then and the next time that they do that. And in the meantime, gonna look at some other projects. I think that that's a kind of much more likely future scenario that we can anticipate over the next coming months. I don't think Jason Blundell is going to work on zombies forever. I also don't think that Craig Houston is going to write zombies forever, because these are people. And it's easy to forget, and this sounds a little weird, it's easy to forget in the zombies community that the devs themselves aren't the game. And what I mean by that is that we look at, even, for example, people like Vonderhaar, right? Vonderhaar is integral to Treyarch and sort of specifically to Blackout and to their multiplayer modes. And even a little bit to zombies, he contributes, right? But a lot of people see someone like Varn and they go, he is the MP mode, or he is the heart of Blackout. And yes, he's very vocal, and yes, Varn is present and no doubt part of all the decisions happening and is helping to direct those decisions and produce the content and things like that. There are other devs that are involved as well. It's not just a one-man band, but Varn is obviously the most vocal member of the band, and so that's who people kind of associate the mode with. And the same does go for Jason here too. Jason might decide that he doesn't want to work on zombies anymore and wants a job at a different company, and that wouldn't mean that zombies is dead forever, right? And there's been a lot of people in the community today that have been saying, Jason's been fired, that's it, I'm boycotting zombies forevermore, it's never going to be the same without him, etc. And I think that Jason himself would probably tell you that that kind of diminishes all of the work of the other hundreds of people at the studio making the mode. Like, it's not Jason Blundell Black Ops 4, it's Call of Duty, it's Treyarch Zombies, right? And every single time I have ever spoken to Jason, ever, one of the things that he has always come back to is that, yes, he has been a part of what's going on, but he is very much just the figurehead and the mouthpiece for what's happening, and there are hundreds of developers working day in, day out, from QA to PR, all the way through to the very top of their production team, that are all crafting the experience that we play. And to just say, oh, if Jason's gone, zombies is gone, is a little bit reductive in my opinion, and I think that Jason would probably back that sentiment as well. So what can we expect from these new projects that he's working on? Well, if he's directing zombies now, he's probably just going to be dipping his feet into the water with a variety of different ideas for the future for Activision. And then if, as I'm assuming happens, he transitions and kind of spends more time on that in the next year or so, then that work could end up being the foundation for some of the things that Treyarch end up introducing in Black Ops 5 in 2020, because they've only actually got another year to develop that game, which is pretty crazy to say, right? Like, it's kind of mind-blowing that they're expected to turn it around that fast, but that's the burden that has been placed on them by Activision and by the circumstances that the universe has kind of ushered up. But it might be that those new creative opportunities end up being things that we see in Black Ops 5, or they might end up being things that are a little bit more on the Activision kind of systems level compared to the Treyarch Call of Duty level. I mean, Treyarch obviously make Call of Duty, which is comprised of various different pillars, and some of that tech is no doubt transferable to other Activision products and IP, but other aspects of it are very much just confined to be Call of Duty stuff. But if Jason Blundell, who is someone with a lot of experience in the industry and is a very smart guy, is working on some new other endeavors that are a little bit kind of wider aperture compared to the narrow Treyarch stuff that he might have been doing previously, then that might mean that other Treyarch property might be able to benefit from his expertise. So that's the sort of thing that I would imagine would happen if we do end up getting that kind of pivot in the next sort of year or so. There is also obviously a chance that he ends up dipping his feet in with those opportunities and then says, you know what, that's something that is set up now, I've got it running, I've started the project. Remember, Jason is director of Zombies, which really is like top of the top level production. And so him starting a project like that makes a lot of sense. And then him also potentially handing it off to someone else and saying, it's set up, I've got the wheels turning, run with it, could could also make sense too. And so there is absolutely a chance that we end up in a scenario where by 2020, when we start getting the promotional material for Black Ops 5, Jason is being looped back in and is being a bit more of a mouthpiece once again, like he was doing towards the start of Black Ops 4 and previous to that in Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 2. The main takeaway though, the main important thing is that yes, he is no longer co-studio head. That's been the case for over a year now, quite a bit over a year now, so it's not really breaking news, I would say. It's been clear from every time, every lower third that there's been when he's been introduced at a panel, at a talk, in a video, any time, he's clearly not labeled as co-studio head. I mean, he isn't co-studio head in the game's credits either. So that is true, but the rumor that he's been fired, not true. The alcoholism thing, I think, is just people trying to be mean. I genuinely think that is just exclusively people trying to stick the knife in a little bit, it seems like, to me at least. And the other rumors that were sort of beginning to swirl up today and coming from all sorts of different directions, mostly baseless. Mostly. There's some truth to some of it, I'm sure. The fact that he dropped the ball in Black Ops 3 with the campaign, and then he dropped the ball in Black Ops 4 with the campaign, is a fact that we cannot get around. I mean, it's been reported on by Jason Schreier and by others at this point, and that's something that is a mistake on Jason's record, sure. To some extent, a blemish, I think. We could probably agree. But this isn't the world-ending catastrophe that I think a lot of people were assuming it was going to be, and doing like change.org petitions and all sorts of crazy stuff. Let's just breathe, everybody. Okay? Thanks for watching, guys. I've been MrRoflWaffles. Jason, if you're watching this, wishing you the best. Hope you're well. And I'll see you guys next time in another Zombies video. Bye for now.